Wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah kita kembali lagi di Cerita Untung.
Benar sekali. Dan kita punya segmen diaspora, yaitu kalau jodoh nggak kemana, di mana kita pengen tahu, kita kepo bagaimana sih survive-nya orang Indonesia di luar negeri yang ketika menikah dengan orang kebangsaan berbeda. Betul. Ini menarik-menarik semua. Tapi kita ternyata banyak yang bilang kita belum pernah wawancarain pasangan Indonesia-Jerman.
Nah, kita pengen tahu nih seperti apa kehidupan mereka. Langsung aja kita sapa.
Guys, selamat datang di vlogs kita. Kali ini kita akan berbagi cerita tentang kehidupan kita di Cerita Untung bareng Mas Ari dan Mbak Venita. Kami ada keluarga campuran berdarah Minang dan Jerman. Kami telah menikah dari tahun 2013 dan memiliki 4 orang anak. Kehidupan kami penuh dengan perjuangan dan ujian. Yuk kita ikuti kisah hidup kami.
Alhamdulillah, sekarang kita agak unik karena terhubung kita belum pernah ada pasangan Indonesia-Jerman. Nah, kali ini kita akan ketemu dengan pasangan Indonesia-Jerman yang wanita asalnya Indonesia itu Lisa.
Dan yang suaminya adalah Ibrahim. Jadi kita sapa yuk. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum, Lisa Ibrahim.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah.
Waduh.
Itu tepatnya posisi tempat kalian tinggal itu di mananya sih?
Kita di Jerman, Mbak Venita, di Black Forest yang namanya Schwarzwald, Baden-Württemberg.
Oh gitu. Kita itu udah keliling di samping-sampingnya Jerman, tapi kita belum pernah main ke Jerman. Sayang banget.
Soalnya kita ngerasa belum ada teman atau saudara di sana. Kalau udah kenal Mbak Lisa nih enak nih kayaknya suatu saat kita main ke Jerman nih.
Oh seneng banget, nanti mampir aja ke sini. Ntar kita bantuin, kita guide tour guide.
Seru banget ya.
Udah berapa lama apa namanya tinggal di sana menikah?
Udah dari tahun 2017 ya kalau nggak salah. Pas Kimi baru berumur berapa bulan gitu. Kimi kan baru mau masuk 6 tahun sekarang.
Masuk 6 tahun. Oke, Ibrahim, how do you guys met?
It's from friends and families, and yeah, it was a cool story. So in the first time, we just talking a little bit, then meeting, maybe we'll just go to drink a coffee or something, and then I was going back to Sweden, go to war. And then we keep
Contact.
we keep contact by Skype or by WhatsApp or something like that. And yeah, then the first few years was just like that. Then I come every time to Indonesia and back, and we go to Bali, Bogor, Labuan Ratu, everywhere. At a really big trip. And then comes the moment where I was say to Lisa, let's marry, because we are really very connecting and a very good team. Now it's like I don't need to say anything. She knows already what I want, and by Lisa she's them. She's completely connecting with me.
So it's like everything about you. You don't have to say anything, and then she understand what you are talking or what you mean. It was like what you call it, belahan jiwa.
Soulmate?
It was a missing soulmate before, probably, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Udah ngerti aja gitu Mas, nggak perlu dijelasin lagi kan. Kalau dia misalnya pulang kerja capek, misalnya kan kayak sama nikah, terus kalau pulang kerja dia capek nggak ngomong atau tiba-tiba dia cemberut gitu kan, udah diemin aja, ntar juga datang sendiri. Jadi aku nggak nyapa, paling saya bilang ya udah paling cuma bilang assalamualaikum, udah pulang kerja ya udah duduk, ntar siapin kopi atau apa, udah gitu aja, ntar nunggu dia sendiri ngobrol, udah tahu aja aku berarti dia di kerjaan itu udah stres atau gimana gitu, jadi aku diemin aja, kan juga datang sendiri gitu.
Oh,
Tapi Mbak Lisa, saya juga penasaran nih, pernah nggak sih kepikiran bahwa ternyata jodohnya itu bukan dari Indonesia, tapi dari belahan dunia lainnya?
Nggak pernah sih, cuman aku dari kecil dibilang sama almarhum papaku, papa kan udah meninggal. Beliau bilang dulu kalau mau nikah terserah sama siapa aja, yang penting ya muslim gitu kan, bertanggung jawab, terus ya bisa jadi panutan lah gitu. Makanya aku bilang oke, kita coba deh pas awal-awal gitu. Tak tanya aku oke.
Tapi berarti nikah tuh di Indonesia atau di Jerman?
Nikahnya dulu cara Islam dulu sih di Indonesia, terus officialnya di Jerman.
official baru di Jerman. So Ibrahim, when the first time you met her, what is your first impression about her?
The first impression was just wow. She's because she's every time people she's smiling and very friendly because of in Europe you must know the people is a little bit so look strict and say not too much, just a little bit, and you never know. And Lisa, she was from the first time, hello, I'm here, and what's going on, and that's me.
When the first time you think that you fall for her?
Yeah, it's like that, but still a little bit carefully because you know just that what you're typing and that's what you talk maybe on the phone. So the reality is every time a little bit different. So, but by her was typing in reality every time same. That was very beautiful. If she says something, she will do everything. If she says one time, let's go there, we will go there. I want to do this, she make it. That's really what made me surprised. Because in here, if someone says something that we make, maybe next year.
So how long after you met her that you
Purpose.
yeah, I mean you believe that she's my destiny? How long after you met her? I mean 1 year or 2 years?
Almost 2 years.
Oh, the 2 years. Yeah.
It was long. So I just go to work, come back in the end of the year, and then we meet the family. Anything. And it was not easy for the first time because, of course, I'm foreigner. So the people think a little bit: is it really working? Is it really he take his responsibility or not? He's just player or he's really serious? And was also in Germany, the family was also a little bit so, Asia, you are sure? Is it good with you? Is it
Want money.
yeah, or want only money or something? And then I say, no, don't worry, believe me, she's a good person. If that's happened, then that's happened. It's my decision. And then they, as for my family, say, okay, just try. And the father was every time a little bit in the first, after marriage, he was not still like testing time, 2 years, 3 years. After that, she do anything and she show I'm a good girl. I'm take care of the kids. I'm really 100% a mother and take care of anything. Now my family is very respect, very respect.
Oh.
If she needs something, she can call to my father and say, "I need this." He will come in 1 second. Otherwise, it's also in the family in Banang. The mom is loving. she's really lovely. She every time asking, "How is Ibrahim? Is anything fine? Is good with him?" And she misses us very much. So I say to her, Inshallah, if anything will be fine, the end of the year we won't come back. So it's of my big wish that will be happen because it's almost 6 years. We was not going down because busy. Then I must work, and so then come the Corona time, so we cannot fly, and also the kids also they just chatting. The problem is every time body language. They just hello and how are you and the mouse.
Already happy.
It's happy, but the conversation is very small. So I just say to the kids every time, what is the
Nenek.
Nene? I say, what is the Indonesian Assalamualaikum, and then they
Ya.
asking how are you?
Apa kabar?
Apa
Apa
kabar?
kabar?
Apa kabar? Ya, makan belum biasa gitu kan.
Ya udah sehat.
Translatein gitu.
Basinya
Oh
ya.
ya, sehat, udah makan belum? Apa kabar?
Just a little bit, and then the body language of the mom is every time still happy. Say, my kids are so nice.
Mbak Lisa, apa gimana nih dengan kalian sendiri kan berbeda bahasa gitu ya, berbeda culture gitu. Dari keluarga sendiri tuh menanggapi seperti apa? Apakah shock gitu, terus meyakinkan lagi? Apakah kamu yakin mau bersuamikan bule, istilahnya gitu?
Tadi kan begitu jelasin awalnya apa namanya, tapi sekarang udah oke kan ya udah. Tapi kalau di awal biasanya kalau sama bule kan agak-agak apa pasti keluarga dari Padang kan ya?
Minang kan ya?
Minang kan?
Nah biasanya kan kalau Minang tuh agamanya juga kuat banget.
Ada uang panai gitu.
Enggak, itu enggak ada sih.
Enggak ada.
Enggak, apa kalau keluargaku sih di mama kan orang tanah datar di Koto tuh sih namanya Batu Sangkar kan. Keluarga di sana sih awal-awal juga apa kok sama bule gitu kan. Yakin muslim enggak gitu, yakin bertanggung jawab itu kan keluarga bilang kan papa udah meninggal, abangku juga udah meninggal kan, jadi aku punya kakak cuma satu, aku anak kedua. Jadi papaku meninggal, abangku meninggal, jadi cuma tinggal mama. Jadi keluarga besar bilang yakin mau nikah sama bule. Ntar kalau tinggalin juga gimana gitu kan? Terus aku bilang udah percaya aja sama pilihan aku. Karena dari dulu kan memang mandiri kan. Terus aku cuma bilang percaya sama aku, kasih aku kesempatan. Selama ini gak pernah ngecewain kan, begituin kan. Ya udah, akhirnya nerima, antara nggak nerima sih, tapi setelah beriringan waktu, sekarang malah sering nanya, kok nggak pulang, kapan pulang gitu.
Oh,
iya, jadi kangen ya. Tapi nama aslinya siapa sih Ibrahim dulunya?
Oh, Alex. Keluarga taunya manggilnya Alex.
Oh, Alex ya?
Alex.
Oh, oke. Nah, terus berarti sempat tinggal di Indonesia atau setelah nikah langsung pindah ke Jerman?
Di Indonesia. Jadi waktu awal nikah kita di Bekasi, terus pindah ke Bogor. Sama mama sih dulu, mama ngikut kan. Sampai si yang gede, Justin namanya, sampai umur 1,5 tahun gitu. Terus kita pindah ke Bali sih. Jadi pas lahir anak kedua, sebelum anak kedua lahir, mamaku pulang ke Padang. Terus aku sendiri di Bali. Setelah beberapa bulan terus baru ke Jerman, bareng 2 anak gitu.
Jadi bule ini dulu pernah tinggal di Bekasi?
Pernah pas awal nikah.
When the first time you decide to be a mu'alaf, how is the response in the family?
As in my family, my father was happy because he's also Muslim, and he was
Muslim mu'alaf juga.
Oh, mu'alaf juga? The father? Your dad? Oh, wow. That's unique ya?
because he you will not try to convert, and then I said to him, I need to know more, and then he showed me, look about the first rules, look about what you have to do, and then I read the Quran and I read the Bible. And that there's something something in the story itself. And then for me it was about more the Quran more interesting.
Okay.
Really more interesting to read and to living the Muslim. So then I think after a year I become also the Muslim.
Oh.
And, it's if you are a Muslim, it's what made me very happy. Wherever you go and you say I'm a Muslim and you are with someone together, and they also every time like brother and sister. That's made me really happy because in Christian there is I'm Christian, but there is not like this community. In Islam, it's very close, and that is it's very beautiful.
MashaAllah.
And also that was something. The last time I was also driving with the motor, and I get from the tire was the air outside in Bogor, and then it was a little bit late, so no Yamaha shop or Honda had opened. And there was a street
Banker.
so banker, and then he knows already I have a problem with the bike, and then he said, come, and then we was talking each other, and then he was talking about where are you from, what are you doing in here, then I say I have a wife and kids and everything, and then I tell him I'm Muslim, and then he's very welcome. He said to me, oh, Alhamdulillah. And he tried his best to help me. Even it's late, we fixed the tire together. After that, I went to give him money. He said to me, no, nothing. I give this for a present for you. And I hope to come fast home. And I say to him, no. Then I was drive a little bit far, buy something in the last store in the store. Go back to him and I say, let's drink a coffee and just enjoy a few minutes together because he was very friendly. And then let's give you another story that was with my wife together in this was in Bogor. There's the train station and they have a lot of street foods. And then we eat every time there, martabak, satay. I really I like this traditional market and the traditional people in Indonesia. It's my absolutely favorite. And
Martabak Mesir. Martabak Mesir.
Yeah, there was the longest time I was 7 months in there, and I eat like in the Chabir I eat like nothing. They look about this bully is crazy. And the big story in this place, we was sitting there and there come a small child. He was
3 years old.
3 years.
3 years.
And he asked me about money. He said nothing about this. And then I say to this child, sorry, I don't give you something, but if you're hungry, I will give it to you. And then he say, yeah, I won't eat. And then I buy one food for this child. He was very happy. Then comes the sister. And the sister, we want sharing each other. Then I ask this child, say, hey, is this your sister? And they say, yes. And I say to the mas, yeah. Then I say sate satu lagi. And then he was okay. He preparing. All the people watch it us and say, what very nice person to buy just the food for the kids. And every time, if we come in this area to visit, the kids, even this is 2 years, they knows you. He said, Assalamualaikum, Ibrahim, Assalamualaikum, Lisa. Very nice. This is so, I want to make more, but minimum I can give food because it make my heart. Yeah, I have 4 kids. I'm happy if they have anything, and just a little bit to give someone something. It's so big. Yeah, even small. It's good.
Yeah.
MashaAllah.
Mashallah.
You gave me a goosebump. I mean, the story is so sweet.
These are very sweet.
Yeah.
Those two stories is inspiring. Yeah, the tire one, and also the last one happened in Bogor as well. In Bogor. Bogor. Wow, that was great story.
Okay,
Yeah.
and who's the first time teach you pray? Teach you how to pray, salat?
This was in Switzerland. There was concert and there was a sheikh, and then he was like a mentor. After that, my father teach me, and then he was also in
Baik, Ustaz Ta'ala.
by Ustaz Ta'al.
Oh, Ustadz Al. Ustadz Al.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Ustadz Al, small world ya. Oh, Masya Allah.
It's now I'm also not so often there anymore because yeah, I have a lot to work. I think I have sent last time my wife has sent the video. There is not full time anymore like before.
Ini railway ya. Ini railway. Railway.
Oh, iya.
Oh, jadi bikin railway.
Iya, dia yang bikin railway.
Yeah, I'm railway construction. That's now.
Oh, I see. In Switzerland.
Dia di Zurich, semua project di Zurich, di Basel, rata-rata Switzerland sih. Jadi perusahaannya tempat suami kerja, tempat Alex kerja.
It's not me alone with my team.
Mid team.
Ya, that's why ya kalau di
Swiss itu bahasanya banyak kan orang Jerman ya, pakai bahasa Jerman ya.
Bahasa Jerman.
Tapi beda ya, Ber?
Aksennya aja sih, aksen Swiss kan agak kalau mendengar pertama kali bingung belum aja dengerin.
That's also the problem sometimes. I'm in my hometown and the people don't understand me sometimes because I'm almost 10, 11 years in Swiss. So I have a little bit accent of Switzerland. So what you say?
Apalagi kita ya,
Apalagi
dia
kita
aja.
bingung ya.
Apalagi kita ya.
Oke.
Masya Allah ya,
Tapi,
Swiss isinya kan Swiss all trains ya, everywhere. Itu
everything
ada yang
trains.
bikin juga.
Oke. Nah, kalau Mbak Lisa sendiri kalau di Jerman berarti kan udah berapa tahun dari 2017 ya? Berarti almost 5 years ya di situ.
6 dong. Five.
Almost 5 years ya. Nah, gimana sih perkembangan Muslim di Jerman? Terus gimana juga suasana orang-orang di sana mengenai orang-orang Muslim dan apakah makanannya juga susah nggak sih untuk cari makanan halal?
Iya, minoritas
kayak gitu?
kayaknya ya.
Karena kan kalian minoritas di sana.
Kalau tergantung ya Mbak Fenita di sini aku kebetulan kan bilangnya dorp ya di sini village kan. Bukan tinggal di daerah yang notabene metropolitan kayak Frankfurt, terus kayak Berlin atau Stuttgart kan, kota-kota besar kayak itu. Jadi kita kan agak di desanya. Jadi ini sekarang semuanya orang-orang original aja kan, orang-orang lokal. Banyak sih pendatang.
Ganteng, Justin.
Assalamualaikum.
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 Waalaikumsalam, Justin.
Waduh, handsome boy. If you go to Indonesia, you'll be an actor, foto model.
Thank you.
Gitu.
Masuk
Selfie lah, udah model.
Like actor.
Gitu.
Yes.
You could be a star here. Waduh, ganteng nih. Ini orang Padang tapi bule nih.
Perpaduan Minang Jerman ini ya.
Minang Jerman.
Beberapa kali. Kan sih mayoritasnya kan Kristen kan. Jadi kalau seandainya ke dokter, kita kan ngantri dokter terus dipanggil nama kan karena nikah sama orang luar kan otomatis ngikut nama keluarga kan, nama keluarga suami kan. Nah terus nanti pas di reception dipanggil kan tuh Katanya dipanggil di sini kan bilangnya kalau setiap perempuan kan Frau kan, Frau Meda is the family name ya kan. Terus dia panggil gitu, aku datang, terus mereka ngeliatin aku dari ujung kepala sampai kaki, kok Asia berjilbab gitu kan. Terus dia nanya, are you sure? Tapi dalam bahasa Jerman gitu kan. Ya, gue bilang. Terus kepalanya yang kayak gimana gitu ngeliat aku kan, matanya. Ya udah, nggak percaya, aku tunjukin aja kartu ini kan. Di sini kan kalau ke dokter atau ke rumah sakit pakai kartu insurance gitu kan. Nah, aku tunjukin insurance card. Terus oke, sorry, langsung bilang gitu. Terus kalau belanja di supermarket juga, misalnya aku online order online, terus tinggal ngambil di tokonya gitu kan, ditanya juga, aku kan kesel ya, aku bilang, emang kenapa gitu dengan nama aku punya suami orang sini, terus ada masalah, aku gituin aja, aku tunjukin ID aku kan, ID Jerman kan, terus oke, sorry, kayak gitu. Terus yang paling parah di dokter anak, biasanya kan suami sama papa kalau ada jadwal harus ke dokter gitu kan. Terus pas kemarin itu berapa bulan yang lalu aku ke sana gitu kan. Pertama kali dong, biasanya kan 4 anak datang gitu. Terus dia nanya, family Meda gitu kan. Terus pas ngeliat aku, dia ngeliat gitu, mamanya katanya gitu kan. Iya gitu kan. Terus aku kata dokter kan nggak boleh kayak gitu ya. Dia bilang saya nggak suka ya Muslim yang Pak berjilbab datang ke negeri Jerman ini, katanya gitu. Terus katanya,
dia bilang gitu?
Dia bilang gitu sama aku. Terus dia bilang, Jerman ini negara bebas. Kamu nggak perlu pakai jilbab di sini. Semua Muslim yang ngikutin Islam terlalu streng banget. Aku nggak suka kalau nanti ada janji lagi dokter, janji kesini lagi, katanya gitu kan. Aku nggak bakal terima kalau pakai jilbab. Aku bilang aja, ya agamaku, aku gitu kan. Kamu kan dokter, Anda kan dokter gitu kan. Kerjaannya cuma periksa pasien aja, bukan ngurusin agama orang, aku gitu aja. Perjanjian dokter, sumpah dokter kan dulu juga aku bilang cuman ya ngelihat pasien tanpa ngeliat hitam putihnya kan. Kenapa harus
pesannya keyakinan ya?
Aku ya, harus buka jilbab. Ya.
Oh, jadi Islamofobia di sana gede juga ya?
Iya. Besar juga.
Oh gitu.
Jalan juga ngeliatin kita sebagian orang itu ya sini sih.
Oh masih gitu. Masih kalau Islamofobia sih ya. Tapi susahnya apa sih tinggal di sana 5 tahun pertama, paling susahnya apa sih adaptasinya?
Ini sih itu nggak pernah dengar azan kan, jadi kita cuma dengar azan dari handphone aja.
I see.
Iya benar.
Nah kalau Ibrahim, ya you've stay in some cities in Indonesia. What is the difficult thing as Germany to live in Indonesia? What is that?
Indonesia. That's all. Nothing.
Nothing.
Fast food.
If you are partner, your world is open in Indonesia. So wherever I go, whatever I do, I get everything. And also I'm very opening. Also I'm every time close to all. I'm smiling every day, and then the people is like, I will come. So never a problem.
Never a problem, eh?
The only one what was me the first time surprised was traffic jam. That was thinking, wow.
Nah, Mbak Lisa sekarang tinggal di tempatnya suami gitu ya, dengan menghadapi ya mungkin kalau misalnya cowok kan nggak terlalu kelihatan lah muslimnya gitu ya, maksudnya kita kan atribut muslim untuk wanita kan karena pakai hijab. Nah, terkadang kan harus menghadapi yang mungkin ya ada orang-orang yang Islamofobia gitu ya, yang kayaknya nggak usah terlalu religius banget deh gitu dengan pakai hijab. Nah, kalau suami tuh ikut ngebelain atau gimana tuh?
Oh, dia ngebelain banget. Pernah kejadian pas awal-awal di Jerman itu malah sama masih hubungan keluarga ya. Masih yang kain on kalau ada. He was